Then Chris came and sat down between me and Pippa and said with a massive smile on his face, "So are you going to tell him then?"
Oh, no. Oh, I don't want to know this, do I?
I don't want to read it. It's awful. There were only about a dozen people left by that point, but everyone turned round ready to hear what he was going to say.
A bit of housekeeping before we begin Where You Left Them, the Dad Hugs podcast. Harry and Emma are not therapists, and your needs will be specific to your circumstances. The opinions expressed in this podcast should not be construed as formal advice. Some stories have been amended and simplified for narrative flow, and names have been changed to protect the anonymity of our contributors.
Hi, this is Where You Left Them, the Dad Hugs for Your Soul podcast, where we share real relationship stories from real people to see if we can help and see what we can take from them for our own relationships and our own lives. My name's Harry, and if you know that already, you might have seen me on your socials. I help people, thousands of people, with difficult and complicated relationship breakups. Now, I didn't want to do this on my own, so I'm delighted to say I have my good friend Emma here with me.
Hello, hi, I'm Emma. I've known Harry for ages. We've been in the breakup trenches together, and I've made all the mistakes. So he's helping me learn, and I'm hoping you'll help me learn as well with your stories. And if I can give you any advice, of course I will.
And we want to give you a chance to contribute too. In this Thursday's episode, we'll tell the story. On Tuesday, it's your turn. That means that we'll be seeing what you've had to say on social media. We'll be looking at the vote and how that's looking. And maybe we'll tell a few of your stories too.
Yeah, we want you to vote, so do pay attention.
So let's dive in. This week's story is from Clive.
Oh, lovely, a man.
A man. Hi, Harry. My name is Clive. I'm 54 and I live in Warrington. I came across your videos when searching for answers on Facebook and hope you can help me make sense of what's happened to me because I'm stuck. I'm finally writing to you after the latest thing that's happened. I've just come inside and the car alarm next door but one is still going off. My partner set it off by screaming at me.
What?
What?
Can you do that?
Well, his partner can. That's incredible. Yep, I didn't know that could happen
Wha-
either.
Wow.
God knows what my neighbours think. I'll start at the beginning so you can see the whole picture, as you probably will need that. I lost my wife to cancer 8 years ago. We'd been married for 24 years. We joked that our marriage was like a bubble. We got that from COVID. We really only had each other. Not many friends, not a big family, but we were happy. We lived simply. No fancy holidays or nights out, really, but it was enough for us.
Oh,
Adorable.
I'm not going to cope with this one, am I?
You're going to get upset.
Yeah.
I might get upset too. It's very sweet.
Oh, okay.
I didn't really know that people like this existed before. By people like this, I don't mean rich people, but people who live in the way like my recent partner seems to live. When I first met her, I wasn't fussed about the big house or the fancy car. Yes, it was interesting to see, but it didn't impress me really. Money's never been something that I've chased. In hindsight, I think that really annoyed her about me.
Right.
I find that
Okay.
interesting because I have dated a person
Yeah.
who was furious that I wasn't impressed with money,
Oh, really?
really annoyed, and said that I had a chip on my shoulder about not having money.
Right.
And I think one of the things they said was, "Do you even have any rich friends?"
Oh my God.
So I can totally see that. It's a real...
So she's crossed that he's not more impressed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Wow. Oh, I already love him. You know this, yeah?
Obviously.
Yeah.
Throwing your anxious attachment in early.
I know. I'm so sorry.
You've probably guessed that we didn't have much in common. And the way that we got together was quite funny, really. I was delivering a Peloton.
Oh my God.
Of course, a
course.
Peloton. I was delivering a Peloton to her, and she came on really strong. At first, I thought it was a joke. Why would a woman like that be interested in a scruffy delivery driver? But when I got home that night, I found a card in my pocket with her number on.
Right. Okay. So the listeners can't see my face, but I'm extremely judgy. I'm at DEFCON 2 with the judgment here.
What a move.
What a move. She's heckin'
Slick.
confident. She's
That is-
slick.
Yeah. Wow.
Can I dislike her?
Are you asking permission?
I'm only jealous because she's going to have a swingy ponytail and a Peloton and a nice car.
Is it because you immediately fell in love with Clive?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't want her to hurt him. Oh,
Okay, I'm sure it's going to be fine. I
right.
hadn't really looked at another woman since Kath died. And yeah, that means I hadn't had sex in all that time either. Which is a bit embarrassing now I'm writing it down. But I just didn't feel like anyone else would compare, which made it all the more strange when I did ring her and she invited me over that night. Pretty much that minute.
Wow.
Keen.
Absolutely keen. Also, can I ask, do you feel like maybe this is the first opportunity he's had and it's so easy that he feels like he's not going to get, I think,
No,
no.
I don't feel like it's the first opportunity he's had, but it might be the first time someone's taken this much control.
Yeah, that is forward, isn't it? Perhaps he's not experienced this kind of woman before.
Yeah, I don't think many men experience finding a card with a phone number in their
No,
pocket.
I've never done that.
No,
Never done that, have I? No, I've never
I
done
have no
that.
further comment to make. I got there expecting a glass of posh wine and a chat. Ooh, you'll like this
Oh,
bit.
go on.
But we were having sex before we even properly spoke.
Live.
Clive.
That's a lot, is it?
That is a lot. I can't say it was particularly good. I was out of practice and I'd only ever been with Kath.
Oh,
It was definitely really intense and I felt a long way out of my depth.
100% completely sympathise with that.
You know-
Imagine that.
you know,
8 years,
yeah.
nothing. And then, I mean, wow.
That's everything at once.
Yeah. It is, isn't it? It's a lot.
You know those moments where you go to, I don't know if this has happened to you, but it's happened to me a few times where I've gone to a party or to someone's house and without knowing, without expecting it, it's been an enormous house and that person has
Yeah.
quietly been really wealthy and I've never known.
Never known. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And you sort of stand in a big hallway thinking, ooh, and you really feel like you're in another world,
Yeah,
like you don't belong there.
absolutely. You really, all the time. I get that a lot, actually.
And
Yeah,
Clive is having sex with someone.
in that big house.
I mean, probably in the hallway from the way this is described. I don't know if they've got to a bedroom.
Quite like this, Harry. Got any more info?
I'll make something up for
Actually,
you.
well done, Clive. I mean, that's a lot of pressure to perform. Good on you, mate.
Hats off to Clive
Absolutely.
so far.
I love him, as you know.
Obviously. This was about 8 months ago, and things moved on really fast. Within about the first 3 weeks, she'd introduced me to her friends. She had loads, and used to take the mick out of me for not having any.
Whoa, 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 whoa. We don't take the mick out of Clive.
That sounds, yeah, that's quite red flaggy.
That's mean, is what it is, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm not sure what, yeah, that's
That is
very
mean.
unkind.
I really have a thing about this because it isn't easy actually for men. Well, I'm going to say older men. He's not older. You know what I mean? Adult men.
It's all right, you can offend me, Em. Carry on.
People as old as you, Harry. It's not easy for people as old as you to make friends.
No, absolutely not. And also, I'm quite distrusting of people who have huge friend circles
Yeah.
as well. I don't quite believe it, I don't quite believe that you can be that invested in that many people.
You can't.
Yeah. Like I said, Kath and I were happy in each other's company, and it had never really occurred to me before. He's just so sweet.
He's lovely. But 8 years though on his own. If
Yeah.
he's got no friendship group,
Mm.
I'm worried about that.
The big turning point was her birthday in July. Her best friend's a gay man called Chris. He was always really critical of me. My clothes, my hair, my job, where I live.
What? No.
Everything was the butt of one of his jokes.
Okay, that's again why that's just awful, mean, horrible.
Yeah, birds of a feather, innit?
Yeah,
If
exactly.
that's your closest friend.
That's terrible.
Everything was the butt of one of his jokes. He even called me the driver.
Nice.
Harsh.
Nice.
Oh, I later found out she did too.
Oh, come on now.
In fact, most of her friends had some joke to make at my expense. I felt a lot like that was what I was there for, really.
Right, so I
Oh,
feel like they're just like playground bullies. I can't stand them.
yes.
Am I too judgy?
Well, no, I mean, it sounds cruel. It sounds unfair. It sounds like a group of people doing it.
Yeah,
But-
I've ratcheted up the judgment.
Have you?
Yeah,
Are we
that's
on?
completely
Where are we out of 10?
93.
93?
Yep.
Okay. Sitting in the garden at her party, it was the end of a long night. Everyone had had quite a lot of drink. And for once, I had had quite a nice time.
Oh.
Then Chris came and sat down between me and Pippa and said with a massive smile on his face, "So are you going to tell him then?"
Oh, no. Oh, I don't want to know this, do I?
I don't want to read it. It's awful. There were only about a dozen people left by that point, but everyone turned round ready to hear what he was going to say. Pippa laughed and tried to shush him, but he swung his legs over my legs in a jokey, hugging way and said, "You know you're the bit on the side, right?"
Oh, no. No.
I thought it was a joke, but when I looked at Pippa, she was white as a sheet, and I realised he was telling the truth. Long story short, the night ended with her admitting that she was still married to Rob, and he's in London, some hotshot lawyer of some sort, and he has no idea I exist.
Okay, so all of this is just awful. I feel terrible for this man, and I don't, he's going to be listening, I assume, at some point. So I don't want to, belittle him by sort of mothering him or anything like that. But I feel like these people are unspeakably cruel, and there's no way you can justify this.
I have a question at this point.
Go on.
So they've been together for a while,
Yeah.
presumably after this party and previously as well on other nights. Clive's been staying at the house.
Yes.
So presumably there's no evidence of this other man. And
Right.
maybe they have one of those marriages
Yeah.
that often posh people have, very wealthy people have, where they kind of live separate lives. And if this guy's living as a lawyer in London and Pippa's living all the way up in Warrington, which is a fair old way,
Yeah.
maybe their lives are completely separate and there isn't evidence in the house of a husband.
Okay, so even maybe that's the lifestyle they're chosen, right? But I believe the term is ethical non-monogamy. And is it ethical if you haven't told the person that you're bringing into this situation that you're married?
I don't believe it could be. No,
No.
not at all. The weirdest thing about all of this, and the bit I can't really understand, is that she doesn't seem to be sorry at all. I've explained until I'm blue in the face that this is wrong and terrible, but she just laughs at me. Since then, things have only got worse and worse. I tried to pull back and see less of her, but honestly, I miss her. It's been a long time since I've been intimate with someone, and I've told her a lot of stuff about me and Kath that I've never told anyone.
Right, so I feel like she feels like she's sophisticated, kind of. I don't know whether she feels like she's got some kind of lady chattily thing going on here, but
A lady chat.
yeah, do you know what I mean?
I know
Come
what you
on,
mean.
she's a piece of work, isn't she?
Yeah.
And I've again referring to my swears list. I have nothing. Everything I want to say is crossed off, so I can't say any of it really. But yeah, I feel this man is so vulnerable, isn't he? He's so vulnerable. He's evidently still grieving. He's confiding in her. He's probably not talked to anybody actually, or hasn't had the opportunity to talk to anybody about his wife. And he feels like she's a safe space. She isn't. She isn't.
I just want to say something at this point.
Yes.
That's going to annoy you.
Okay. Don't you dare blame Clive.
We are hearing one side of this story
Yes,
at the moment.
I understand.
And not only that, this story is presented very much as Clive feeling very much like a victim here. And that's understandable.
Right.
Clive's been through an enormous amount.
Yes.
But that's going to colour our view of the behaviours as well.
Okay. I'll try and rein it in. I hear you.
I thought she'd be sorry and nicer since this came out, or at least try and explain her situation. But it's the opposite. I can't bring it up without her getting really angry. She flies off into these rages every time I think we're getting somewhere, and then I end up apologising for upsetting her. She says some really horrible things, usually along the lines of how lucky someone like me is to have someone like her.
Nice.
Worse than that, she says very hurtful stuff about Kath.
Oh, come on now.
Okay, I've lost quite a lot of sympathy.
Yeah, I bet you have, and you should have. I know that we do tend to sanctify people that have passed away. I get that.
Yeah.
But it's actually not her position to say anything at all about this woman at all.
Well, she doesn't know her. Yeah, she's never known
No,
her.
exactly.
Yeah.
Appalling.
Appalling. That's the word of this week. I've tried to end the relationship at least 5 times. Sometimes she comes back, but most of the time, to be honest, it's me. I feel like I'm addicted to her in some weird way. You are, Clive. You are addicted to her. I find myself comparing her to Kath most days and wonder what Kath would think of her and what Kath would think of me for being with her. I feel ashamed.
Oh, bless him.
So here I am, sitting on my bed, writing this to you, and I can still hear her and the car alarm. The worst thing is, I know that it will be me who apologizes for all this tomorrow. I know it seems ridiculous, and I know it needs to stop. I keep thinking about a job I've seen in Scotland. It's only 3 months, but it feels like a chance for a clean break from her. I don't know whether I have the courage to do it though. Clive.
I am desperately sad, because I feel like this man's been knocked off his axis 8 years ago, done nothing really except allow time to pass, expecting that to make the difference.
Mhm.
And then as soon as he's encountered someone he has happened to, and well, is it that he's happened to encounter someone so like diabolically cruel, or is it more likely that that's who's going to cross his path?
Do you like Pippa? I can't tell.
I
Okay,
absolutely
that's clear. So
loathe her
okay,
and her
that's clear.
stupid friends.
We hope you're enjoying the stories on Where You Left Them, the Dad Hugs podcast. But how's your emotional health? At Dad Hugs, we help thousands of people to solve their emotional challenges now and lead more fulfilling lives in their future relationships. Check out the No Contact Pack. It's brutal, but it works, and it'll help you break the cycle and rebuild after a relationship breakdown. Or the Healing Anxious Attachment Pack, a deep reset for anxious attachers which will help you calm the fear of abandonment, stop the spiral of overthinking, and feel secure in yourself. Find our packs and see what hundreds of other happy users have said at dadhugsforyoursoul.com/packs.
I think, yes, the issue with Clive is that you're right, he was knocked off his axis, and in this 8-year interim period before he has met this lady, he has apparently remained in the bubble that they were married in, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing to suggest that Clive then broadened his horizons or did anything differently other than sit in this pain. And so it's almost like Clive was bound to meet someone who was emotionally unavailable, because Clive isn't emotionally available by any chalk, by any shot, because realistically, however close you are, the love of your life, all of that stuff, 8 years is still a long period of
Yeah.
time, and things happen and things change, and relationships are different. It doesn't mean that they are going to be the new love of your life. And it doesn't mean that the old person wasn't the love of your life, the person who's passed away. But it certainly means that if you're constantly comparing that person and their cruel behavior to the kindnesses of your deceased wife, then something's amiss, something's not right.
So had he not moved on, I don't want to say that, had he met somebody, say, a year in or 2 years in, would he still be doing the I mean, it's 8 years is a long time to still be comparing. Was he bound to do that? Is it inevitable if you are kind of trying to kind of date again or move on again, whatever you want to put it, after in grief? Is it inevitable that you go around that loop, do you think?
Yeah, however much time's passed, you are bringing trauma to a relationship in that situation. And we don't know, but it doesn't sound like Clive dove into therapy. It doesn't sound like Clive tried to heal. And my God, to go through losing your wife, certainly that kind of marriage as well, where it is a bubble marriage and you probably spend every minute of every day together. You are each other's world. So you've built your emotional home in this other person. And he is the definition of the saying, don't build your emotional home in other people, because you give them the power to make you homeless. And it's unfair on the other person to give them that much power. And it's horrific for you when that eviction comes, because there's nothing underneath you. You've turned your back on the world to face this beautiful, perfect partner. That partner has gone in the cruelest possible way. How could anyone match up? And how could you ever find someone who would give you the same emotionally available vibes as the person that you've sanctified because they've passed away? We never say, oh, David died last week and he wasn't very
He
nice.
was a bit of a git. No, we don't.
We never say
No,
that.
we
We
never
say he
say
was a
that.
lovely man. What a beautiful person. He did this, this, and this for the community. He was a wonderful guy. And that's how it should be. That's respect and that's decency. But the truth is, people become sanctified after they've died. They
Yep.
become these unattainable, virtuous, wonderful beings. And who the heck can match up to that?
Okay, so he's holding up an impossible holding her to an impossibly high standard, and no one's ever going to match her, is what you're saying. Also, I want to ask a question, because you said about turning your back on the world to face this perfect happiness. So I guess outwardly we can perhaps assume that people would imagine, or people would look at Clive and Kath and say they've got a really good, solid relationship, a lovely marriage, lovely people, love it. Can you have that, but still, but without turning your back on the world?
Yeah, absolutely. You can be deeply, intimately close with someone. You can be beautifully, romantically close with someone who is hugely social. And this is actually a really good point, because the definition of secure people in relationships is not what anxious people think. And I know you're an anxious person,
Yes, I
so
am.
your view of what you'd imagine a secure couple to look like is probably a long way from what it really is. Secure people go through the exact same feelings of, oh, I don't want to upset them, and oh, we could break up over this. This is serious. But actually, they just have a much more solid foundation underneath them that says, well, I'll be okay. If this relationship ends, I'm going to be okay. Like, I am a person in my own right. And I often say to people, you do have a right to take up space in the world as an individual. Who are you without a relationship? It can't define you, because then if/when the relationship goes wrong, something happens, someone passes away, as in poor old Clive's case, what do? What's underneath you to hold you up? It's got to be you.
Yeah, and that, I think, is a gift that a painful breakup or a painful cleaving of any kind of marriage or relationship, I think actually that is a gift that it gives you. If you can get to the point where you look down, there's nothing and nobody there, and you realise, okay, I've got to be there for me. And if you can actually build that for yourself,
Yeah.
going forward, you are much stronger and more secure, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely agree.
Right, okay, so we have done a number on Clive now. I know you're not going to say that, but I feel like we've done a number. And I still feel like we really need to go and have a little look at Pippa, don't we? Because she is an abomination,
Well,
surely.
let me ask you a question. What do you think has motivated Pippa to act in the way she has? This cruelty that's being pretty overt towards Clive, doing it in front of her friends, behaving in these playground bully ways. What would you say the motivation would be? Why would she do that?
Again, I mean, I'm trying to look beyond my loathing of her. I can only assume some sort of
You're just blinded by the
blinded by
rage.
the horror of the woman. You're going to say, and it's got to be pain of some description internally, perhaps.
Probably that, but there's something else that's a bit darker. And
Is she in a cult?
hey, probably.
Oh.
She's got a Peloton. She's in a cult.
Exactly. They're very, very small seats, Harry. She's in a lot of pain externally as well. Go on.
So what I would suggest is this. There is a possibility that Pippa is extremely jealous of Clive. She's envious of Clive's simple life. And so when we live a life of projection, of appearance, of the flash car, of all of the financial achievement, the good job, all of that stuff, right? And the friends, right? The big friend circle. When we have all of that, it doesn't take very much to make that fall over. What it takes is raw authenticity. And what is Clive if not that? He is the delivery guy who hasn't slept with a single person since his wife passed away, and hadn't slept with a single person before he met his wife. He is looking for love. He is innocent, clean, decently behaved, just wants to be in that friend circle with decent people, and feels so far out of his own world whilst this bullying's going on. And for her, for Pippa, the opportunity is, well, people are going to like this guy. He's really authentic and he's decent and nice, and that annoys me. And also, she has layered on top of that, she has this sanctified wife to compete with that she can never compete with. And I doubt that if Clive's wife were alive and they'd broken up and then Pippa had become the second person that he dated, I doubt very much that Pippa would be able to cope with the very existence of Kath at all. So I think there's a real envy there. There's a real envy, and it's very common, and it's very uncomfortable but true. It's really common for a new partner to envy the dead ex, the deceased ex, the person who's passed away, because how do you compete with a saint? How do you level up to that?
See, I feel I would be unable to be a match for that. I'm very deeply flawed. Can I just ask?
You struggle with the living, Emma.
I
I
do.
mean, the
I do.
saints.
I do.
How are you going to deal with the saints?
I don't know that I will. I probably will fly a flame. But something you said she was jealous, and we talked about jealous of Cat, but you said she was jealous of how he is,
Oh, yeah.
the fact that he's a good person.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So she's
absolutely.
aware that she's awful then.
Well, it's not that she's awful. And this is a really important distinction. You can meet people
She is awful.
with deeply narcissistic traits who are deeply cruel in relationships and in emotion. And they're not horrible people. They're horrible people to date. And quite a lot of the time, it's really difficult to separate those two things. You think, well, she's done this to Clive, so she's a horrible person, right? Well, maybe not. Maybe she runs a charity. Maybe she saves orphans. We don't know. And you're recoiling at that very
Yes, I
idea
am.
because you're associating her attachment type and her behaviors in a relationship with her personality. And those two things can be very different.
Okay. But all her friends are awful as well, so I think she's awful. And get away from the children, Pippa.
Are her friends awful, or are her friends conditioned by her behavior and they're sitting in her house, in her garden, drinking her drinks, eating her food? And is Clive one of a string?
Do you know what frightens me? When I listen to these stories, I think of people I know and I'm like, oh yeah, I can see that in her. One of these days, I'm not going to see anybody I know, and that's going to be me, isn't it? In one of these stories, when I'm not recognising them, it's going to be me.
It's that thing, yeah. If
you don't know, it's you, isn't
Yeah.
it? Right. So another thing I found incredibly difficult to understand was he said something along the lines of, I tried to break up with her. You just do or you don't you? Tell me about that.
When you're in a toxic relationship, and especially if you're in a toxic relationship with someone of a more kind of avoidant or emotionally unavailable attachment style, if you're anxious, you will break up more than once, generally, because the way that you break up and the reason that you break up lead you to go back. You break up in quite dramatic ways.
Right.
And you break up because you reach your level of tolerance and you say, do you know what? No, I can't put up with this anymore. We're done. Goodbye. And then the minute the person's out of sight, your anxiety rises again and you think, oh, hang on. Have I lost them forever? Was this a mistake? And you go back.
Right.
And when you go back, they're not very accepting of you. You have to do quite a lot of fawning and apologizing, and you do that. And what does that do? That breaks another boundary. That teaches them they can treat you however they want. And the treatment gets worse. And then the second time you break up, it's much, much worse because they know you're coming back, right? And that loop can go on for 5, 6 times. Most of the time, most of the people who break up with very toxic people break up more than 3 times. And they kind of never really split emotionally if they don't do the work to move away from them. If they don't invest in actually detaching, they'll leave some kind of attachment open.
He said, he used the words, I think, addicted, didn't he? Or addiction. He
is addicted. He's addicted to the dopamine. And the dopamine is a chemical that you get when you date someone who is very unavailable and leaves you dysregulated. So if you imagine, it's kind of like being on a roller coaster. And a lot of people imagine that you're addicted to the high.
Oh, right. Yes.
But on a roller coaster, if you think about the actual process of being on a roller, you go up and up and up. And the high bit, actually, that's not the bit that gives you the whoosh, is it?
It's the drop, isn't it?
It's the drop. And dopamine works in exactly the same way. It's an incredibly powerful thing. Dopamine and oxytocin combine, the two love attachment chemicals, hormones that rage through you when you're attracted to someone and attached to someone. Those two things are so addictive because the whoosh at the bottom of the roller coaster is happening again and again in the relationship. Every time she insults him, he gets a whoosh, and then he comes up a bit because she says, oh, I really like you, and it comes back. So that addiction is real. And, you know, there are people who have been drug addicts who've described the toxic relationship addiction as much, much stronger.
Wow. So that's got to be a design fault, surely.
A design fault in the brain?
Yeah, in our brains, in human brain. I also really want to ask this question for a friend. Anxious attached people.
Or Amma. Yes, go ahead.
What kind of person do they have a successful relationship? And actually, my same question really for avoidant attached people. I don't know the terminology. You know what I'm saying?
Well, the ideal, obviously, is that you heal, that you fix it a bit, that you do a bit of work, and that involves quite a lot of sort of sitting in discomfort. And the idea of fixing it is quite difficult to sell to people, to say to people, because we live in a world of Deliveroo, of Uber. We can scratch every itch, right? We can fill our bellies at the click of a phone. You can find sex if you are looking for sex. You can click on a dating app and find someone to spend time with. You can get a meal delivered. You can get a lift if you're lost somewhere. All of it. It's instant satiation of difficult situations and discomfort. So we don't sit in discomfort very often. So when you're asking people to work on attachment issues, you're saying, the first thing you need to be is lonely. You need to be alone. You need to heal in isolation. And it's the same between anxious people and avoidant people. I don't believe that you can healthily get yourself back to a healed emotional state whilst you're in a relationship with someone who you've realized this is the situation. I think you need to isolate yourself to do it.
Yeah. Okay. Last question on this. Do you self-awareness, I imagine, is higher in an anxious person, I'm saying that because that's me, than an avoidant person, or am I wrong there as well?
Yeah, you're wrong there as well.
Right, okay.
Avoidant people very often are very aware because it's an extremely painful thing to be. This is something that, as someone who's been very poorly treated by an avoidant person, it pains me to say it, but avoidant people live a very difficult emotional life, and it looks like a very easy emotional life. Quite often I'll talk to people who've gone through awful breakups with avoidant people, and they say to me, I wish I was avoidant. They don't feel a thing. They're off with the next person and they just don't seem to care. They don't look back at all, but that's not how it's happening. What's happening is they're suppressing emotion. They're trying to avoid this emotional pressure by turning away from it, by pushing it down. And deep inside them, deep inside them, they have this longing for this perfect romance. From very young, most avoidant people will tell you that they dream of the Netflix romance. They dream of the perfect relationship. And then they live their emotional life choosing people, and every person they choose, they think is the one. They go through that relationship believing that it's going to work. They feel that emotional pressure rising and rising inside them until it triggers the wound, and it's a betrayal wound in them, which means that they deep down they believe that you're going to betray them.
Right.
And so to avoid that betrayal, they exit the relationship, and they exit it dramatically in this kind of scorched earth style. There's no going back. So they do it in a cruel way. They'll deliberately be caught cheating, or they'll slam the door in your face and never come back, all of that stuff. That is an awful way to live. That's very uncomfortable. They basically watch themselves self-sabotage every relationship they go through until they get help. And the problem, of course, at that point is, if you're an avoidant person, how likely are you to reach out for help? It's a real difficult way to live. And it's so easy as an anxious person or as a person of a secure attachment style to judge these people really harshly and say, well, they're unkind and they're cruel and they're damaging people. They leave this trail of damage in their wake. But you've got to remember what they're heading towards. You know, they're heading towards an older age of quite loneliness,
The
of
same
isolation.
thing, repeating and repeating and repeating.
It's a cycle that you're fortunate to get off. If you are dumped by an avoidant person, you're stepping off a merry-go-round. You're stepping off while someone else is stepping on.
If you'd like to see my full, longer reply to Clive, I'll be posting that as a pinned post on my socials later this week. You'll also be able to watch it as a separate video on YouTube, where I can go a little deeper and take the time to unpack it fully. So, if you want the extended version, keep an eye out. I'll make sure it's easy to find.
So we're going to leave it there, but we'll pick it up on Tuesday.
And before we go, we want you to vote. You can go onto our socials and vote, and you can go onto our website and vote, www.dadhugsforyoursoul.com/podcast.
Emma.
Yes.
What's the vote this week?
The vote this week is, should Clive go to Scotland?
So do get voting. There's loads of stuff that you can do on dadhugsforyoursoul.com/podcast. You can even leave a voice note, and you can join the discussion and leave a comment too.
And we'd really love to hear from you with your stories, of course. You can write to us at podcast@dadhugsforyoursoul.com. Of course, we won't use your real name.
Like and subscribe, like the young people say. But for now, thank you so much for watching. We'll be back on Tuesday with more. And of course, if you're wondering where your ex is and what they're up to, they are exactly where you left them. And they're doing exactly what they were doing. Big hug.